All right, y'all, welcome back to another episode of Hashtag CB99 Talks. This is episode 78. Of course, I'm Combo Breaker 99, and we back with another episode. Last episode of the year, last episode for 2021, and of course, this is my year-end review episode. You know, I'm going to be going back and just kind of revisiting some different things throughout the world of WMMA that, you know, caught my eye. You know, a lot of signature, you know, groundbreaking things. You know, a lot of switch-ups, a lot of shake-ups, right? So, yeah, we back with another episode, but yeah, man, it's been a crazy year. It's been a crazy year, good year, a shocking year for the world of WMMA. You know, a lot of good things. I won't really say too many bad things, but just some things that, you know, a lot of fighters need to work on, which if I remember, you know, I'll kind of go back and discuss this at the end of the show. But yeah, man, like I said, last episode, didn't do too much for the holidays, just grinding, just working and, you know, coming through on the channel and doing things over here. But yeah, real quick though, just reflecting back throughout this year, you know, there's a lot of stuff I can't even like recall. I had to actually kind of go back and look at as far as fights, you know, that I do want to talk about in this episode. But, you know, I got to say, man, I had a lot of fun, even more than I did last year, you know, doing a lot of videos and a lot of streams on the channel this year, you know, just because you get to meet a lot of different people, you know, from behind your laptop, from behind the mic. You know, you get to meet a lot of people from around the world, and they have their different tastes and different fighters. But a lot of the times, you know, we can agree on different things. But if we don't, we still just kind of chat it up, you know, even with these episodes I do. But yeah, man, as far as, yeah, like I said, the holidays, just chilling out, just watching fights and, you know, taking care of other things, you know, behind the scenes, you know, that I've been working on for next year. But yeah, it's been a good year for the world of WMMA. Not just the UFC, you know, had a lot of good fights as far as around other organizations as a whole. You know, you had whether it's PFL, Icon, Combate, LFA, you know, 1FC, you know, just a lot of different fights. Cage Fury, a lot of fights I've been watching, you know, throughout the whole year. And, you know, of course, I can't talk about them all. That's why I talk about them throughout the year, throughout the channel. But I just want to go back in this episode and kind of talk about some different things and different fights that, you know, caught my eye. And I'm going to do it different this time. I got different categories. They're similar to the ones last year, but I don't want to do the basic stuff. You know, I just kind of want to go through and just talk about the highlights of 2021. So I broke it down into categories this time, you know, similar to last year, but a little different. So this year, I just want to talk about my 5 or so favorite fights, you know, 5 favorite fights that were kind of memorable to me that I kind of go back and watch throughout 2021. You know, I just want to do that. And then I got something called Watch Out on all levels. You know, instead of just putting down like my top 5 prospects, top 5 contenders, I'm just putting it all in one. I'm going to call it Watch Out on all levels, because I had to add in on all levels, because the minute I say one fighter is somebody you need to watch out for, everybody gets the wrong idea and thinks I'm talking about that person's a champion. But no, there's different levels to the game. Like I always say, there's levels to the game, and there's different levels where you might see something in somebody. It's all about them just taking it to the next level. So watch out on all levels. Like there's some fighters I've been, you know, looking at throughout 2021, and I was like, oh, okay, this person is somebody I'm keeping an eye on, right? Then I want to talk about skills that I appreciated this year in fights. You know, just some fights where I saw great skills that really just impressed me. You know, that just really impressed me. Fights where you can say, oh, if you want to be an MMA fighter, this is who you need to watch. You know, there was only like a couple of those fights this year that really just caught my eye to make me say, okay, this is textbook stuff. You know, all y'all need to watch this. You know, men too. What else? And finishes. You know, my category is just called whoa. You know, it's just like whoa, because I had to put in my top submissions, knockouts all together. These were just some crazy finishes that just had me like, wow, I did not see this coming. You know, just some big shockers. You know, just big shockers. So had to put that in there. And then I got my fighter credits for 2021, who I think are, you know, on the right path, and they just been putting in the work. So I just want to, you know, give them a shout out. And then I wanted to do my fight of the year, of course. My fight of the year, it's got to be, got to have that category. Got to have my fight of the year and my fighter of the year. My fighter of the year. Yeah, I didn't miss that yet. I'm going to do fight of the year, then I'll do fighter of the year category here. it's a little different this year. So yeah, man. Yeah, just going back to what I was saying earlier, though. Yeah, I do enjoy getting on here. You know, I enjoy it. You know, some people, they let it kind of overwhelm them when people troll, but to me, it's like, hey, this is why I do it. You know, I feel confident when I talk about, and you know, if somebody wants to say something or they, you know, they have a disagreement, fine. You know, but at least come with some facts. You know what I mean? Come with some facts or some research on what you have. That's why I say sometimes the pressure, there's really no pressure to it. Like, the pressure to me is finding the time and squeezing it in and making sure I do it right and getting off what I want to say. You know what I mean? Like, getting it off in the fashion that I want to do. Like, that's where the pressure comes in. Like, pressure is more on myself. Like, I put pressure on me, but I really don't let other people put pressure on me like that. Like, what other people say, because regardless, I'm going to say what I'm going to say. You know, that's why I enjoy doing what I do over here, because I think a lot of people can take away from what I say, and I do take away from what other people say sometimes, you know. Yeah, whether it is just like little things that, you know, I might miss, or like I said, because if I'm busy, I might miss it in a video, but if somebody like helps me out with the correction, I'm fine with that. But yeah, like I said, it's been pretty solid for the channel this year. You know, I enjoy doing it. Not as many interviews this year, like I said. You know, shout out to Sam Hughes. I did an interview with her, Brittany Cloudy, and Chris Byrd too. You know, the former heavyweight champion. Did an interview with him earlier this year, but it was like I said, I didn't really feel like reaching out like I did in 2020. You know, during the pandemic, everybody's just kind of chilling, so I had more time then to do that. But I really didn't feel like reaching out this time. I just wanted to really just talk the sport. That's what I want to do, just talk about the fight game. You know what I mean? Like, every now and then do an interview just to kind of give you all the point of view of the fighter. But I just enjoy getting on here talking. And I think a lot of people go by views rather me do that sometimes. I mean, sometimes, you know, schedules conflict with fighters, and sometimes if you reach out, they don't answer. Like, I haven't really had that problem this year because, like I said, I didn't really reach out. But it's just like, you know, I want people to, you know, just get to hear what I have to say sometimes, you know, as far as the fans. And, you know, I wanted them to get a chance to hear what I want to say about fights and my analysis. And, you know, there's going to be a point where I think the fighter's going to have to come to us or come to me, you know what I mean? Because this platform, YouTube, is like the biggest, I think the biggest form of promotion for a lot of these women out here, you know, for WMMA fighters. I mean, aside from them, you know, going on their IGs and building up their followers by, you know, posting different type of photos, you know, on the beach, and bikini photos and things like that. That's one way of building up their promotion. But to me, I've noticed that, like, if they really want to make it, like, for WMMA fighters, a lot of their fan base is on YouTube. You know, that's where you get a lot of the underground analysts that really like to go in there and just analyze, from Cage Fury, you know, to the regional circuit, to all the way up to the UFC. So I think there's going to be a point where, you know, their management is going to say, hey, we got to get so-and-so on this channel and this channel and this channel, right? You gotta have, they gotta have that understanding at some point, whenever they start wondering why, okay, these fighters ain't getting it. You know, these fighters aren't really getting it, because, you know, some I'll talk about in another video too as well, is because they need to start acknowledging that their fan base is here, because it's almost like some of these, you know, promotions, even like INVICTA FC, aren't really like thriving like they should be, you know, because there's a big fan base for it out here, but it just seems like nobody really wants to dish out the money for even the pay-per-views yet, or, you know, they didn't have enough life to stay on UFC Fight Pass, right? You know, so I think there has to be a point when they start, you know, saying, hey, this is who we got to go to. This is the places we got to go to. But until then, like I said, I just like talking about the sport with y'all. You know, these are my points. And, you know, like I said, if fighters want to hear it, they can listen. If they disagree, fine. But this is what I see, you know, from experience, this is what I see. But yeah, man, let's get into it. Been a good year for the sport of WMMA. Like I said, many platforms. You had a lot of all-women platforms across the board, you know, some lower levels. You know, you had a Combate, Icon, they did their, ONE FC, they all did their all-women cards. And, of course, you had INVICTA FC, you know, so you had a lot to watch. You know, there's a lot to watch in 2021. But I want to start with some memorable fights in 2021 for me. Just some of my favorite fights that I kind of went back and watched that I just enjoyed. You know, they just as far as like skill wise and action wise. You know, I think these are fights that if you haven't seen, you can go back and check them out though. So my first fight on the list here that I enjoyed was from Invicta FC 44 a few months back, you know, over the summer, was Lauren Mueller versus Serena De Jesus. This was a fight at 135. I know some people say, oh, why wasn't the main event? Why didn't you choose the main event fights? But no, I enjoyed this fight. I just thought it was a good fight where you had a smaller fighter in Lauren Mueller who had to make the right adjustments against a bigger, stronger fighter in Serena De Jesus. You know, she was moving up to all the way up to 135, I think. Yeah, because, you know, Lauren Mueller fought it in the UFC at 115, right? And this was a fight where she had to really go in there and utilize her stand-up and her range and get off good combinations. And I think she did that. You know, I think she was executing it well, except every time she got hit or touched or in the clinch with the bigger, stronger fighter, you know, it was just her stand-up would get canceled out. You know, it was a good back-and-forth action fight, you know, good technique in there. Serena De Jesus, she got the nod. It was very close. Like I said, it could have gone either way, but I had Lauren Mueller winning the fight. I thought she did a good job of measuring range and landing some clean shots on the chin of Serena De Jesus. So, you know, it's just one of those fights. You know, I just turned it on and say, hey, man, I like this fight. You know, I did a live stream on it. Then I said, oh, man, well, you know, I went back and watched it, you know, again, and I said I enjoyed it. So, yeah, definitely check that one out if you haven't seen that fight. Next up, Manon Firo versus Victoria Leonardo. Definitely had to put this one on the list. You know, Manon Firo's UFC debut from January. And, you know, I know a lot of people, they weren't sure about Manon yet. And I was telling them, man, you know, Manon Firo, you know, after watching her fights and seeing what Victoria Leonardo had done to her before and what she could do, I said, this is going to be Manon Firo's fight. Just watch what she's going to do. She's going to stop her in the second round. And Manon Firo, she came in there and showcased a good stand-up game, even, you know, got in some takedowns, good clinch work, good mix of everything. You know, she did a really good job of just putting her stamp out there as a brutal fighter. You know what I mean? Again, we could talk about the quality of opponent, but this is what you do, though. Like, she went in there and showed, look, I'm on another level. So Manon Firo is definitely, you know, a fighter that, you know, y'all know I'm high on, but in this fight here, when she put herself on the map, that's how you do it. I still go back and watch this fight all the time, you know. I tell people to check her out because I think she's going to be, you know, one of these top 5 contenders in the coming year, for sure. So, yeah, Manon, her second round TKO over Victoria Leonardo, that's definitely one of my favorites of this past year. Next up is Stamp Fairtex versus Ritu Phogat. I don't really have these in any particular order. I enjoyed this fight. You know, Stamp Fairtex, shout out to Stamp. You know, she really evolved. She's been evolving and improving throughout the year. It's been an active year for her. And in this fight here, the fight went, again, the way I said it was going to go. You know, she went in there, executed a great game plan, got a second round submission over the reckless Ritu Phogat. Again, Ritu Phogat, this is what I'm talking about. You know, raw, natural abilities. But, you know, if she goes in there against the right technical fighter, she will lose. You know, she will face a hard loss. Like that, there's a lot of things she needs to work on the ground. Like her wrestling is good, her strength is fine, but her technique, it needs to improve. You know, she needs to be a lot smarter, you know, even work on her jiu-jitsu. And I think Stamp Fairtex, another one of those textbook fights, you know, she showed, look, this is what I've been working on, and boom, 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 good transition into an arm bar, got her belly down, I think. Was it belly down? Yeah. And had her tapping in the matter of, you know, just a matter of seconds, you know, in that second round. So, yeah, shout out to Stamp Fairtex. That's my third fight on the list. Next is Yasmine Heurier versus Clara Lopez. That was a solid stoppage for Yasmine Heurier. Got to give her a lot of credit as well. Yasmine Heurier, you know, she's a strawweight on the come up. She went in there, blasted out Clara Lopez in the final fight for this strawweight tournament. And just a good showing, just a dominant performance. You know, she put hands on her, you know, good combinations, just overwhelmed Lopez. So, yeah, I enjoyed that fight. Next fight, you know, a lot of people don't really talk about this fight too much because I know this fight was kind of out of their element, out of the weight. But back in May, Marina Rodriguez versus Michelle Waterson. Another fight I enjoyed, good back and forth action. You know, it was a main event for the UFC, for UFC Fight Night. You know, Marina Rodriguez, very active year, you know, taking this fight on short notice, second fight on short notice. And, you know, she went in there and put on a solid performance against Michelle Waterson. That's not to say Michelle Waterson didn't come with her game. I mean, this is a 5-round fight. Michelle Waterson had her moments. She carried the weight nicely. You know, she was able to get a good takedown in 1 round and land some nice body shots and do some damage to the face of Marina Rodriguez. So I was like, yo, like, Michelle Waterson stepping her game up here. I don't know what she might look. She might, you know, she might be carrying this weight nice at 125. She might look the part, you know, if she went in there and took a couple more fights because, you know, her power seemed to carry up. Her strength seemed to be effective in some rounds, but it was just the fact that Marina Rodriguez, her striking and her stand-up was just too much overall. It was still just levels above, and she was able to get better control. So, yeah, it was a brutal 5-round fight, in my opinion, just because of the damage that happened to Marina Rodriguez's lip and her when she took that hard body shot. But other than that, I think she clearly won the fight like 4 rounds to 1. It was just Michelle Waterson made it pretty tough for her. So, yeah, those are my favorite fights from 2021. You know, definitely go back and check some of them out if you haven't. I definitely enjoyed those fights. I mean, there was a lot more. I just really couldn't fit them all in. I just had to say, okay, which ones had the more replay value for me over the past couple months. You know, that's what it came down to. All right, next category for 2021. Watch out on all levels. I don't have a great deal of fighters here, but these are my fighters that I think you just need to watch out for on all levels. You know, from each organization, like, these are fighters that I recommend you just watch, you know, even from the lowest organization to the highest organization because they put on some good performances. First up, Sydney Trio. Sydney Trio, you know, she's only 2-0, you know, 2-0 strawweight, but I like the energy she was bringing in her fight that I, you know, got a chance to check out on her LFA fight, LFA performance a couple months back. You know, she got I think it was a 3rd round stoppage over her opponent, and it was just a good back and forth action fight, but at the same time, she just showed this dog in her, you know what I mean? Like, every time it got in the clinch, she was just willing to sit down on her punches, and she was just bringing this type of energy in there like you don't really see from too many 2-0 fighters, right? Like, a lot of fighters are still tentative, you're still just learning how to strike, but the fight that Sydney was fighting, you know, it was almost like she was on like a little bit higher of a level because she was really sitting down on her punches and she was committing in the clinch. Every time the fight went into the clinch, you know, the wrestler was trying to get her in there, she would fight hard, you know, off of her back, off the cage, or on the inside when she would pin the wrestler to the cage. You know, she was getting in good work. Like, she was really letting her hands go. Like, there was really no fear in that girl. And I think that if she continues to carry that up, but also improve her skill, you're going to see more work from her. So shout out to Sydney Trio. She's only 2-0, like I said, but definitely watch that fight and you'll kind of see what I mean. Like, she's kind of somebody you need to watch out for, even if it is just an LFA. Next up, just talked about this fighter, this strawweight on the come up, Jasmine Heurier. She's 8-0. She just won the Combate tournament for, you know, the women in the Combate organization. She just won that strawweight tournament. And I have to say, look, I'm impressed. I dropped a video on her, you know, a few months back right after, told y'all to watch out. Jasmine Heurier, very athletic, very technical. You know, she's very fast. She's got decent power, good pop on her shots. She's a finisher. Takedown defense is on point. I'm not going to lie, she reminds me of a young Joanna. You know, she's like a young Joanna in there. She's still got a lot to, you know, to work on, of course, as far as even getting on the ground. But if you go check her IG, she's working. She's out there working. You know, she's been in camp with Valentina. She's been working with those high-level fighters. So Jasmine Heurier, I think she's off to a good start. And at 8-0, maybe a few more fights in Combate. You might see her go to Invicta. You might see the UFC might try to take her into the Contender Series, or they might just sign her. She might be one of the ones they sign, because I actually think Jasmine Heurier is looking a little bit more dangerous than some of the lower level strawweights in the UFC right now. You know, I won't rush her. I'm just saying she has certain things that stand out than some of these UFC strawweights on the lower tier. But yeah, you know, Jasmine Heurier, let her take her time and continue to work, even like I said with the Shevchenko camp, and you're going to see this girl, you're going to see big things. You're going to see this girl make it. I mean, again, you know, she's got very solid punches. Her combinations are, you know, very assertive. You know, she puts a lot of pop on her shots. And like I said, a finisher. And just that takedown defense. Like, when you try to get her, it was just like reminded me of Joanna in there, because when she commits to her striking, that's what she's going to do. And if you try to stop her, boom, you know, she's ready to defend that takedown. So, yeah, Yasmine is definitely one of those fighters that I say you got to watch out for right now on the level she's on. Next up, I'll say Melissa Gatto. You know, Melissa Gatto is just 2-0 in the UFC, but she is undefeated. You know, she had a rough start, you know, after getting popped. You know, it was like took her 2 or 3 years to get into the UFC, but I think she's off to a good start. You know, Melissa Gatto, she's got a tall, long frame. She's got the physical strength. You know, she's got that type of stand-up and that type of frame that could give some of these flyweights trouble if she continues to improve on how to use it. You know, like how she just used it in her past performance with Sarge Eubank. You know, she hit Sarge Eubank with the teep kick, you know, right on point to the body. You know, if she continues to just work on her speed and her timing, you know, I think that she'll be very effective with her stand-up. And when she's on the ground, she was effective. You know, not too many people can get a reversal on Sarge like that and just get that type of ground control like she did in the second round. Like, you know, just putting a blanket on her and still getting work in and just gassing Sarge out. Now, granted, a lot of these other girls aren't going to gas like Sarge, but that strength that she put on Sarge, who is a strong fighter, was very impressive. You know what I mean? So Melissa Gatto, you see her matched up with somebody like Ariane Lipski. I'd love to see that. You know, if she could cancel out Ariane Lipski's striking, or if she could nullify her striking or just go in there and take the fight straight to the ground, that's going to tell me, okay, this girl's on another level. If she can go in there and fight with her IQ and use that strength and just maul somebody like Ariane Lipski, then, hey, I think she has some. But, yeah, she definitely want to watch out for, in my opinion. You know, she's just fun to watch as well. All right, so as far as, like, watch out on other levels, let me see. Those are the main three that I wanted to tell people about, was just Sydney Trio, Jasmine Heurier, Melissa Gatto, and let me see, who else do we have? There's a lot of fighters, though. You know, there's a lot of fighters. I didn't really, like, home in on too many, but those are just the ones I can remember throughout the year where I was like, oh, man, you know, I got to watch out for this person. You know, of course, Loveth Young. Loveth Young didn't have any fights this year, but, you know, she was supposed to fight for the LFA strawweight title. But, you know, she was training hard and she was prepared for it. But she's definitely a fighter that, you know, we need to watch out for. You know, she's still carrying that energy in from 2020. So she's definitely one to watch out, though. Let's see. My next category for 2021, skills. These were some, you know, skillful fights where I just had to say, look, I really appreciate the performances from these fighters. And they really just stood out to me when you're just watching it in a technical manner. You know, when you're just sitting back, you want to see somebody just put on a clinic and watch them step by step make their move and get it done. Hands down, I had to give it to these two fights here. First off, I'll go ahead and break it down I'm not going to break it down, but I got to give it up to Valentina Shevchenko back in April with her second round TKO finish over Jessica Andrade. I think we all know why. Like, we all knew that Shevchenko, in my opinion, like I said, I did a video on this because somebody asked me who's physically stronger, Valentina or Andrade. And I had to be real. I said, okay, these two are different types of strength, but the way Valentina keeps herself grounded and she, you know, makes herself, she makes herself well-rounded to the point, you know, she has a strong foundation and she knows how to turn these punches over. I had to say Valentina Shevchenko was a physically stronger fighter. And I think she has a better understanding of how to use her strength to the best of her ability. Like Andrade, she uses it, you know, she uses it because she's just naturally strong, but she just lets the raw talent and the athleticism carry her a lot. But I think Valentina has a much more balance to how to be strong in every department. You know what I mean? That's why she was able to do what she did to Jessica Andrade. Like, we go back to the first round, right away, Valentina said, okay, I'm dealing with this really, really strong powerhouse of a fighter in Andrade. But when I look at her frame, if I get her in this position, she's going to be helpless. So her first thing was to get that back at a diagonal angle where Andrade really had no answer. You know, she really had no answer. She couldn't really turn her, and her legs started to come off the ground, and that was boom. That was it. That was where Valentina could just get it to the ground, because just the frame of Andrade, she's going to be helpless by the positioning of somebody like Valentina Shevchenko, because Shevchenko has that strength and she has that grappling background to just say, okay, this person with this shorter arms and shorter legs and this type of frame, they're going to be helpless in this position, right? If that was maybe somebody longer, they could have, you know, kind of snaked around or used their reach to kind of throw some elbows and make Valentina, you know, kind of have to let up. But the way she's built, Andrade took full advantage of that, and she was just able to go in there and just out-grapple this strong, athletic fighter, you know, and just put it on her and take her down like what, 100% takedown ratios, like 5 out of 5 takedowns, 6 out of 6 takedowns, till finally in the second round where she just, don't forget she was landing some good, solid straight left hands on her too as well, just picking her apart from a range. But even when it came to the point where she did get Valentina's back to the cage, this was like the ending. This was the ending of the fight, in my opinion, mentally for Andrade. When Andrade tried to, go down to that level, reach for that angle and try to get that slam, and she like pulled 1, 2, 3, and Valentina would not budge. That was it. I think that was it. And Valentina knew that was going to come at some point. So she knew she had the strength. So she said, look, I'm going to just take her here to the cage, take my back to the cage here. I'm going to position here. I'm going to, just prop myself here prop myself against the cage. And as soon as she tries to go for that slam, she's going to be in for a surprise, So that was the moment. Then going into that second round, man, it was just brutal, man, when she got that crucifix on Andrade. So I was just like, wow, this was just a master performance, Only 2 rounds, but you just saw so much great work from Valentina Shevchenko just throughout that amount of time. Definitely had to put that skills to appreciate through 2021. Next, definitely last but not least, is Tanisha Tennant versus Lisa Forzosa. Great performance by Tanisha in this fight, lopsided victory. And, she just did it all with a beautiful jab. It was all set up with beautiful jab and angles. Tanisha Tennant, she was just in there popping off jabs and, just fighting at a very smart pace. This is a tough girl, so she said, I'm going to pick her apart. Could have got the stoppage in the first round, I think, but the bell saved her, saved Forzosa. Tanisha just went right back to her game plan. Again, like, the stoppage was there, but I have to give Tanisha a lot of credit here because after the stoppage had passed, she didn't go crazy. She didn't go crazy in rounds 2, 3, and 4, even whenever there was another moment where she rocked Forzosa. She never went crazy because Forzosa's a warrior. She will recover quick. So what did she do? She's, I'm going to just go right back to slicing her up with these front kicks to the body, just keep ripping her with these leg kicks. Jab, jab, boom, right hand over the top, and she was just busting her up, just busting her up throughout the round. This is just like beautiful striking from Tanisha Tennant. And like I said, the UFC needs her in the bantamweight division right now because I don't really see too many other high-level strikers like this aside from Irene Aldana and GDR right now. She's bringing another level, to the game with this stand-up. But in the meantime, if she's not signed, just keep perfecting that game, get it to the point it is like an Aldana or Dorena Mays striking. And you will see big things from Tanisha. But, go back and watch this fight. If you haven't watched it, all 5 rounds was just a masterclass from Tanisha Tennant. And, this goes to the ladies out there. Y'all want to learn how to, even the men, y'all want to learn how to, translate your stand-up and your striking into MMA. This is how you do it. She put on a great performance. So those are my fights. Those are my fights where I said, man, these 2 fighters got some skills that you really got to appreciate. I really enjoyed watching their fights and those performances they put on, especially, again, like that Shevchenko Andrade. It was just like bully the bully. I love that kind of tactic sometimes, and I love how she just neutralized everything, kept everything calm and cool, didn't pay attention or wasn't intimidated by the reputation of Andrade. It was just like, I'm going in there, I'm going to do something different. And that was another thing, Shevchenko said on the fly, she just changed up her game and said, I'm going to wrestle and grapple with her in this fight. And I could pick her apart, but I'm going to do it this way, right? So shout out to Shevchenko, Tennant. We need those type of technicians in the game. Call them boring, but hey, that's what you got to do if you want to go in there and inflict punishment, not take punishment, right? All right, so next category, my whoa category. Whoa, man. These fights all have me like, wow, like, whoa, damn. You know what I mean? Like, these were those knockouts and finishes where I was just like taken out of my seat. Especially some of these were just like finishes I didn't see coming, but some of them were just finishes where these fighters had never been finished in that fashion before. You know what I mean? So let me see. I got about 5 here, but one just popped up in my head before I was about to do this show, and I got to go ahead and get that out of the way before I forget. But this just happened a couple weeks ago. Melissa Gatto in her 3rd round stoppage over Sijara Eubank. That's right. I had to put that on this list, man, because Sijara Eubank has never been finished before in any fashion. She's never been finished. And I don't think a lot of us saw this coming. I did kind of go back, like I said, and think to myself, I said, I did switch my pick to Melissa Gatto, you know, because of the weight issue with Sijara Eubank. But if something tell me at the beginning of the fight, I was like, what if Melissa Gatto did something crazy in there? Like she went in there and stopped Sijara Eubank. Like if Sijara Eubank just got gassed out, what if she stopped? And boom, man, it was like crazy. Like it didn't come in the fashion that I thought it might have would have, like by like a check left hook or right hand where Sarge just walked in with her chin out because she was exhausted, or, you know, because of the weight cut, you know, she was, you know, drained and she just took a big shot, got floored, you know, and put out. Nah, man, that thing came in the third round after a close fight. How did it come? Sijara Eubank trying to come in, put that pressure on. She slowed down already after that rough first round. The second round, Melissa Gatto, she measured right, and boom, she put that front kick right to the body, right to the liver of Sijara Eubank, and Sijara Eubank just crumbled. I mean, she was grimacing. She had to grab it and just sunk. I mean, it was just like a ship sinking, you know. She hit her with that torpedo in the right spot, and boom, she just sunk. I was just like, wow, man, that was crazy, man, because it was a close fight. You know, I had it tied. The first round was definitely for Sijara Eubank. She went in there and did what she was going to do, high-paced grappling in the first round, take the fight to the ground and bully Melissa Gatto. But the energy didn't carry over into the second round. Of course, you know, Sijara Eubank's tank is not the best. And then Melissa Gatto not only just took the round, but she impressed me by not using her stand-up, but by getting a nice reversal on Sijara Eubank, you know, and get top position and just control her. Like, it was just a beautiful way when she controlled her. Like, she put the blanket on her and just started landing good right hands, you know, to the side of the head, and just using her shoulder to really just take the wind out of Sijara Eubank. So she was working. Like, she was working on the ground. It was just beautiful ground control and just a nice, solid takeover, you know, very smart. So going into that third round, I saw Sarge slow down and start taking shots, and she was missing some, and I was just like, she might get caught here, but what's it going to be? And boom, right to the liver, and she goes down. I was just like, wow, man, that was crazy. But shout out to Melissa Gatto, man. She just showed a good, well-rounded game here, you know, as far as measuring range and getting her strikes off, and, you know, physical strength and ground game. You know, of course, we're going to need to see it tested against somebody a little bit fresher, you know, somebody with a gas tank a little bit stronger on her level, you know, because Sijara is 36, and, you know, she's like 11 years older than Melissa Gatto, but we need to see somebody that's going to really give her a test. But this was a test to me. You know, it was a test. It still was a test. She fought a veteran in there that's been around. But Melissa Gatto definitely did show something. That's why I said I had to put this fight on the list, because Sijara Eubank getting stopped in this fashion, wow, whoa. Next on the list, I had Irene Aldana in her first round stoppage over Yana Kunitskaya. This fight was crazy, man. I mean, once you look at the fight, like, if you don't see the lower whatever you call it, the round one at the bottom, if you just flip this fight on and don't look at the heading at the bottom, you know, you'll be like, wow, what round is this? Is this round 4 or 5? Because that's what it looked like. They were fighting at a high pace already. If you look at Yana Kunitskaya's face in this fight, you were like, man, like, this girl's in a war. You know, you were like, has she been taking a beating for 4 rounds? But no, Irene Aldana was putting this work in over the course of just 2 to 3 minutes of the round. Irene Aldana was boxing a nice fight, just putting the jab in the face, fighting off the back foot, you know, landing some nice right hands in this fight. Every time Yana Kunitskaya would step in, she was separating nice, she was creating space. And then she just threw this nice little feint, like she was about to throw a right hand. Then she threw a jab in the face of Yana Kunitskaya. And then as Yana Kunitskaya stepped back in, off of the back foot, she landed a beautiful left hand, beautiful left hook, and dropped Kunitskaya. And from there, just went in for the ground and pound and just really put the work in on Yana and got the stoppage. So I was just like, wow, like, I knew Irene Aldana had a beautiful left hook. You know, she showed it in the Cashapp Heurier fight, but seeing it again, you know, this just really, really put the stamp on that boxing ability of Irene Aldana in the bantamweight division. You know, she definitely got some of the best stand-up. So, yeah, had to put that first round finish up there. Next, Taylor Santos, her first round submission win over JoJo. I thought this was going to be a knockout win for Taylor Santos. Look, I love JoJo, but I thought the knockout was coming because Taylor Santos was putting on beautiful pressure, switching up the levels. JoJo was landing some nice shots early on, you know, just some, you know, pity-pat shots to try to get the fight going, but she was landing, she was connected. But Taylor Santos started throwing a nicer variety, you know, body shot, left hook combinations, going up top. and, you know, going back downstairs. And then when she hit JoJo with a good right hand and just backed her into the cage, and then followed up with a 1-2, I think it was a right hand left hook, and put her down and let her get back up, then put her down again. I was like, oh, she's about to knock her out. But then she just locked in, snaked around the back, got that rear naked choke, and JoJo tapped. So I was like, wow, you just saw a little bit of everything here. You know, you saw the power, you saw the stand-up, you know, you saw the strength, then you saw the ground game of Taylor Santos. So definitely had to put that fight on there. Next up, Marina Rodriguez, second round TKO, or second round knockout over Amanda Ebos. I did pick Ebos going into this fight, but I said, you know, Marina Rodriguez, if she puts that stand-up together and keeps it standing, we know she'll win the fight. You know, I just thought that Ebos was going to be a smarter fighter and do what she did the first round, take the fight to the ground for all 3 rounds and just kind of maul and do what Carla Esparza did. Use her wrestling, keep it in close, don't let her ever get range. But after a good first round for Ebos was just disrespectful. Like, she just kept walking into Marina Rodriguez. I'm like, why is she walking forward like this? And Marina Rodriguez was just starting to get range nicely. And as soon as she found that range for the right hand, boom, she cracked her and dropped her. And that first knockdown, it could have been it. That could have been it, but Herb Dean let her get back up. Marina was surprised. She went in there, put another combination, put another slaughter on her, and boom, you could say she could have knocked her out. That was 2 knockouts in the night for Marina Rodriguez. So clean shots landed for Marina in that fight. You know, that was a bad pick for me because I was just like, wow, I knew I should have picked Marina. You know, something told me to stand by her in this fight. But like I said, I was kind of blinded by Ebos thinking that she had the well-rounded game, but she definitely lacked the IQ in this fight and was just a wrong approach. But yeah, shout out to Marina. You know, that was definitely a highlight finish for me. Next, Rose in the first round finish over Zhang Weili. You know, Rose Namajunas, I actually picked Zhang Weili in this fight, but it was 50-50 going into it because I said, okay, Rose, if she gets it going from a range, if she can get that stand-up going from a range, she could pick Zhang Weili apart. I just didn't know she would pick her off with 1 shot in the first round. You know, Zhang Weili was getting her leg kicks established early on, but she just had her hands down too much, was just staying on the outside a little too long. She needed to be chopping the leg down and chopping the body down and staying on the inside. But here she wanted to counter strike and just strike with the much better boxer and much better striker in Rose. And Rose is already comfortable. You can see Rose just kind of like fainting and twitching a little bit. Threw out a nice little head kick. Didn't even think it was that hard. And you could just hear that connection, that little right on the chin. And I was like, wow. I was like, it didn't even sound that hard, but it was just like, of course, because I wasn't taking it, I was there, but it just sounded like that little smack. And Zhang Weili's whole body just shut down, and I was like, oh, it's done. I was like, oh, it's done. Just the way, like, her legs gone and her body fell backwards, and then Rose jumped on her. I was like, yeah, she's not going to recover because her whole body shut down where her arms were froze, they're paralyzed. Like, she didn't have the strength, she didn't have the ability to grab on and hold like say Angela Hill did in the Lemos fight. You know what I mean? Like, she took a hard kick with her and was able to go back and recover. But this fight here, that kick was just perfect on the jaw, and Zhang Weili didn't see it coming because she was too comfortable and focused on what she was doing from the outside and not thinking of a game plan to get on the inside, you know. So, you know, people call it a fluke, but it definitely wasn't a fluke. It was just a much better striker that landed the perfect shot at the perfect time by Rose Namajunas. So still, man, when I play that back, I'm like, dang, you know. So, yeah. But my number one, this one I had to do in a particular order. My number one, man, Emily Ducote in that first round KO over Danielle Taylor. Man, just go back and watch that. That's all I'm going to say about this one, man. Just go back and watch that one. This was the main event for Invicta FC 44. That was a crazy finish for Ducote, man. I'm like, Emily Ducote, after watching her fights with like Kanako Murata and a couple fights with Alima Leigh McFarland, I just see like the pressure and the stand-up in her early in her career, but I just saw a lot of improvement in her stance and her ability to turn over the perfect right hand and the perfect counter shot. And as she was backing, and her timing, as she was backing Danielle Taylor up, who was trying to, you know, pick her shots, going outside, pick her shots, going outside, there was just some nice pressure, nice calculated pressure where Emily Ducote found her range early in this fight, and she was just like, okay, when she steps in, boom, I'm gonna come over the top. And boom, she landed a big right hand and just put Danielle Taylor to sleep on her feet, landed one more good shot just to put her down. It was like a kick, I think. But she was out. She was out. Like, this is the first standing knockout in WMMA. I think maybe, is that the very first one we ever seen where just somebody was just knocked out and they were just standing up perfectly like that. It was almost like Mortal Kombat, in that moment, it's like finish him, or in this case, finish her. You land that shot and they're just like standing there, then it's time for the fatality. That's what it was like in this moment. I did not see that coming. I'm not gonna lie, because Danielle Taylor been in there with Zhang Wei Li, some of these other harder hitters, and she's never been finished like that. But like I said, it came down to the perfect punch and just great timing from Emily Ducote. So yeah, man, go back and watch that one if y'all haven't seen that. If y'all WMMA fans, hey, you probably seen it. But if you think you are a WMA fan, you haven't seen it, hey, you gotta go back and watch this one, because hey, you missing out. You are missing out. All right. So next category here, real quick. My fighter credits for 2021, the fighters that, had a good clean sweep this year, put on great performances, and I see big things for them this year, whatever level it's going to be on. Not really like the watch out level, just I'm very impressed, and, I got to give them credit to these UFC fighters. First off, Marina Rodriguez win a perfect 3-0 this year. Got to give her a lot of credit, man, because she took her first 2 fights on short notice. After finishing Ebos on short notice, she took another short notice in May. Got a good win, got a good main event against Michelle Waterson at flyweight. So, took a fight on short notice, took a fight out of her weight class, you know what I mean? And on top of that, it was a 5-round fight, and that's a main event. So that's a lot of pressure. That was a lot of pressure, but she went in there, put on a good performance, and beat Michelle Waterson. And next, this fight was going to be a short notice, but she, said, hey, look, I need my time to prepare for it. I'm not ducking her. And what did she do? She went in there and put a striking clinic, lopsided victory over Mackenzie Dern. I think I was like one of the only ones that picked Marina Rodriguez out there. Like, I kept saying Marina's going to win this fight. I had to stand by her on this one, because I was like, I know Mackenzie Dern has some developing hands, but this girl has hands already. You know what I mean? Marina Rodriguez's hands are already developed. So if she can keep the fight standing, then it's all hers. But even when the fight went down to the ground, people say, oh, yeah, she probably would have got pretzeled up. Why wasn't Mackenzie Dern able to do that? That just tells me that somebody's survival skills on the ground are very solid. Like, she might lose a round, but Marina Rodriguez said, hey, my survival skills are on point. You still ain't submit me. You may be a black belt jiu-jitsu, but you still didn't submit me. So that's why I found crazy, too. Like, Mackenzie Dern submitted Nina Azarov, Randa Marcos, all these other girls, but like when it came down to Marina, it was like, can't do it. Marina's that good, So shout out to Marina. She definitely shows a good IQ and survival skills in there. And like I said, again, 3 solid wins, Ebos, Waterson, and Mackenzie Dern this year. And I think we'll definitely see her fighting for a title in 2022. So she definitely put herself in a good position. 2 main events as well. Got to give her a lot of credit for that. Next up, Manon Firo, of course, another 3-0 fighter. Finished Victoria Leonardo, finished Tabitha Ricci. Good, solid, dominant decision win over Mayra Bueno Silva. Got to give her a lot of credit for that fight, too, because, like a lot of fighters and a lot of people, she faced the 19. But she went in here, didn't make any excuses, overcame adversity, and fought a very dominant performance. Put on a very dominant performance, and you might just say it was an off night. You wouldn't even know that she was sick, right? And, also dealt with the calf injury in there. She was a little hurt, but she said, okay, I'm going to just make adjustments and keep doing what I got to do to dominate this fight. Not just win, but dominate this fight. So Manon showed me something, that this is a fighter that still wants to dominate no matter what. She'll find another gear and go in there and find some way to dominate her opponent. She did that against Mayra Bueno Silva. Talk about how Mayra Bueno Silva approached the fight, but no excuses. You got your behind whooped by doing what you did, and by Manon doing what she did. So I give her full credit for that. 3-0 this year. I see big things for her. She did earn number 14 in the flyweight division. So yeah, definitely got to give her a lot of credit there. Next up, last, I got to give Casey O'Neill credit as well. Even for the level she's on, she's number 15 right behind Manon. For the level she's on, she has gone in here, made a big splash. I don't think she's number 1 as far as UFC's top up-and-coming fighters, though. That's just me. But I got to give her credit here, because she also went 3-0, stopping all 3 of her opponents, Dobson, Procopio, and a Shevchenko. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't go in there and put on these type of performances. You know, she's definitely showing that type of factor. Like, you know, she wants to go in there and she wants to win. Like, it's on her mind to go in there and do it with a lot of these natural abilities that she's had. Yeah, I need to see a little bit more. Yeah, she's a little bit green. You know, she's a little bit green in some areas, but I still had to give her credit for this year. You know, she went 3-0. Not many fighters can do that, and it earned her a ranking this year, right? So, yeah, shout out to those ladies, definitely, man. Perfect records this year. I see them climbing the ladder at some point. I mean, Casey has a tough test in Roxanne. We'll see how that goes in February. All right. Next up, my fight of the year. I think it's pretty obvious what the fight of the year is, you know, for WMMA now. And that fight was just a few weekends ago. UFC 269, Amanda Nunes versus Juliana Pena. Fight of the year, had to give it to Nunes Pena, man. You know, Pena went in there, pulled off one of the biggest upsets, if not the biggest upset in WMMA history. You know, she built this fight up. You know, she made us, I won't say she made a lot of people believe in her, but she definitely made a lot of people listen and turn their heads toward her to see what she could do. Like, I think a lot of people really did want to tune in and see what she could do at some point. Like, when they saw just this approach she was taking on social media, then watching the embeddeds, you know, and just seeing how she was never lacking. She was never at a loss for words. You know, she was never lacking any confidence. That's what did make me want to say, the more and more we got down even to the press conference and how she took Nunes out of her element, it made me want to see this fight more and more. Because y'all know I did the video. I was like, I got to see this fight because I think Nunes is going to be in another zone here where she wants to really prove something. And I thought Nunes was going to go in there and do that, and it was going to be an interesting fight. You know, back and forth action, a little back and forth. But overall, Pena, you know, she won this war. Even like at the press conference, it just made me say, wow, this fight is really getting interesting. Like, you rarely hear Nunes talk like this. And that was just one of the things that made this fight even a little bit more interesting for me. And I had to do a video and just say, hey, I want to see this even more, you know? But Pena, you know, she took her out of her element, outside of the octagon, and then even in the element. You know, she had Nunes talking junk, like, you know, you don't really hear her doing, you know, out of character. Then when they got in the fight, first round, you know, Pena may have lost that first round, but she made Amanda Nunes fight out of a rhythm, at a very high pace. And Nunes, she probably didn't expect that. She probably like, okay, I won this round. Look how easy I did this. But all the while, Pena's like, you know, I got this. You know, I've already got her huffing and puffing, like she said in the interview she did. She was like, I hear her gasping for air. You know, my whole thing was to continue to work and just make these transitions and make Nunes work and just really gas her out. And she did that. Then we go into that second round, she executed a beautiful jab. That was simple. You know, a simple jab, you know, took apart this complicated fighter in Nunes. You know what I mean? As far as, you know, somebody this accomplished, somebody with, you know, all of these finishes, somebody with 2 belts in separate divisions, had this much trouble getting past the jab, right? So there was just a lot of mental breakdown here for Amanda Nunes. And when I say mental breakdown, I'm not making excuses like some people. You know, I'm not doing that. Mental is a big part of MMA. So if you can break somebody mentally, that means you are a solid fighter. You're an elite fighter, because that's where it all starts. If you can break a person mentally first and get something very simple to work for you, then that's you. You know, hey, you get all the credit. Like, something simple Pena was doing technically was just throwing that basic jab, but the big picture here is what people miss. Pena was breaking her mentally. You know, she broke her mentally in the first round, and then she broke her mentally throughout the second round by taking her punch, you know, and making her trade and making her fight her fight. That's what a lot of people don't understand. You know, mental, that's a big part of the game. And we can't say it was just full, okay, it was, oh, she ain't been at this weight this long and, you know, she's overcoming this and that. That's on the champion to make them mental adjustments and to say, hey, we got to go in here and overcome adversity. Even like I said, on the lower level, Manon Firo, she still found a way to be dominant and win her fight, right? You know, so, hey, Pena gets all the credit, man. This was a good, solid fight. I really can't say any other fight topped this one as far, well, performances, you know, there was a lot of great performance, but I mean, as far as just like the big picture here, this one had to be fight of the year. You know, it was just one of those storybook things. Pena getting a second round submission over Amanda Nunes, you know, just all around good just all around, just good elements to it. The outside, the inside, and the results. You know what I mean? And now it leads up to a rematch. So definitely had to be fight of the year for me. All right, last up, fighter of the year. Well, I should say fighters of the year. I'm doing something different this one. I'm not just going to pick one fighter of the year this time. I can't do that because I think throughout the year, there's just been a lot of women that are working and putting on great performances, and there's just some standouts to me. Each time somebody came up, I was like, okay, I got to give this person credit. I got to give this person credit. I got to give this one person credit. So with that being said, I had to pick 3 this year that I have to kind of have them share the award with. I got to have them share this award. But first up, my fighters of the year is Stamp Fairtex. Had to give Stamp Fairtex, a nod here because she's had a great year. Started off rough, but she came back, she bounced back, made the right improvements, had 4 fights this year. The girl fought 4 fights this year in the tournament, lost 1 fight, went 3-0 the rest of the year, avenged that loss as well with an improved game. Is willing to go in there and grapple with the person that submitted her, then goes in there, scores another win, and then gets the big win over Ritu Fogat, right, to get that interim belt so she can unify with Angela Lee in this coming year. So I definitely have to give Stamp Fairtex a lot of credit. She's an entertainer. I'm a growing fan of her even more. She's been working on that ground game. You can see the improvements being made. She actually wants to go to the ground and show her well-roundedness. She has great range. She knows how to pop off a good jab, good range with those leg kicks. Just a little bit of everything she showed out, she's shown throughout her fights this year. And just like I said, that improvement she made, her confidence wasn't broken, even though she was submitted in that first fight this year. Started off rough, but then she went in there and said, okay, this is what I messed up on. We're going to improve on that. If I go back to the ground, I'm going to show you how to do this. It's not going to happen again. And she was willing to do that in the rematch, get another win and just go 3-1 this year and get that belt. So yeah, shout out to Stamp Fairtex. Had to give her that. Had to give her that respect. Next up, got to give Tanisha Tennant part of that. I got to give her part of that award. Definitely, she was finally able to go in there, get a shot at the title for INVICTA FC 44. We already talked about the fight. She got the unanimous decision win over Lisa Forzosa. One-sided beating. She got that bantamweight title. So from here, she's in a good position to, get some more fights, possibly go in there and defend the belt a few times. But this is definitely a good position where she could say, look, hey, you need to sign me, UFC. Y'all need new blood. You need more new fighters in this bantamweight division that seems to be going dry in a lot of the fans' eyes. So we need to see Tanisha Tennant signed in the UFC. But yeah, she's definitely been putting in the work throughout the year. Rough start, a lot of inactivity, had one opponent pull out on her. So, she just continued to work and just grow as a fighter. Then she went in there and just put it all together in that one performance for that bantamweight title and showed you a masterclass performance that only she can put on. So yeah, shout out to Tanisha Tennant. That's my second fighter of the year. And my third, last but not least, I had to say Juliana Pena. Juliana Pena, storybook ending for her fight, very storybook, the way she built the fight up and went in there and executed a great upset. Juliana Pena, she said, look, she does God's work. She's God's warrior. I respect that. She's got that heart to go in there and fight and, not listen to anybody else. Like I said, I had it 70-30. She proved me wrong. Like I always say, prove me wrong, you're doing something right, And Juliana Pena, she went in there and did that after a rough end back in October 2020, getting submitted by GDR, being GDR's first submission win too, like a striker. You know what I mean? That could break a lot of people mentally. Getting guillotine choked and passing out to somebody who's never submitted anybody before, like GDR, that could be kind of a mental breaker. It could kind of make you question yourself, like, am I that good of a grappler? But no, she didn't do that. She came back next year in 2021, bounced back with a win over Sarah McMahon. Of course, that's not as big as GDR. But after getting that win, what did she do? After getting that win, she took to social media and said, hey, Amanda Nunes, hey, we're supposed to fight before, let me get some of that action. And Amanda Nunes, they went back and forth. Juliana Pena started doing interviews. People thought she was crazy. I didn't. I said, hey, yeah, let her go ahead and get the title shot. Amanda's already beat everybody else. This girl wants it. If you want it, and she's the only one calling for it, give it to her, right? So throughout February and March, Juliana Pena's been, talked herself into a title shot. It was official. Amanda pulled out once. Juliana Pena stayed focused, worked on that game, said, look, I've been watching Amanda Nunes from the jump. I know what I can do to offset her. She goes in there. First off, outside of the octagon, she offsets her. Second, goes into the octagon and offsets her, just like she said she knows Amanda Nunes, and boom, she gets the victory in big fashion. So yeah, shout out to Juliana Pena, 2-0 this year, good wins. I think next year, we're gonna see her go in there and try to repeat history against Amanda Nunes. I'm not sure yet. I think it is I'm gonna say it's a 50-50 fight now. It's definitely going down to 50-50 because this type of win and this type of person that can take you out of your game, sometimes they can get to you like that. They can have your number because, remember, go back and look at Antonio Tarver versus Roy Jones. Antonio Tarver versus Roy Jones, I always thought Roy, he was a superior athlete, faster, the better fighter overall. But sometimes there's just that one person that can get under your skin, right? And Juliana Pena, she could very well be that person for Amanda Nunes. So, yeah, man, shout out to Juliana Pena. Those are my fighters of the year for 2021. Stan Fairtex, Tanisha Tennant, and Juliana Pena. Had to share that one because they were all doing something where I just I got to respect what they do, whether it's technical or outside of the octagon or talking themselves into a big fight. You know what I mean? Whether you think she deserved it or not, she got it and she won it, right? And sometimes you have to take that approach because when your fighters aren't saying anything, they're not going to get it. So you got to speak it into existence. And she did that. She did that. Full credit there. So, yeah, man, that's my full year-end review episode here for 2021. It's been a, big year for WMMA. Like I said, it's been a good year. It hasn't been a bad year. But I will say that the one thing that could get better is these fighters, they need to really start being more vocal about what they want, promotion-wise, building their brand, not just depending on Instagram because they're girls, just because you're women. Stop being models and all of that. You got to go out there and, start taking advantage of the social media and the media platforms that want to put you out there and build your brand, right? That's what you got to do. So, yeah, a lot of good things. Like I said, we got a thriving flyweight division right now. We got, we got a top 15, but then we got 20 some other odd unranked flyweights. So I see big things coming in 2022 for the flyweight division. Like I said, this year, I want to see more Bellator flyweight fights. I want to see more INVICTA cards. And that's why I say build your brand, make WMMA popular. Make WMMA popular because if you don't, you're going to see less and less INVICTA FC cards. So, yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got. And, yeah, like I said, last episode of the year, probably going to jump back on live and do a live version of this with y'all and kind of get y'all's take on what y'all enjoyed about this year 2021. But yeah, man, we're gonna drop a few more videos this year, but we coming back hard next year, 2022. We're gonna be bringing some new things to the channel. Maybe I'll jump on cam more when I do more interviews and when I do more live streams. But yeah, I might start doing more interviews this year as well, guys. So yeah, that's all I got. Hope everybody else had a good year and good experience with WMMA like I did, especially the new fans. But yeah, everybody have a happy new year. Combo Breaker 99. Make sure y'all subscribe. Make sure y'all subscribe to YouTube channel. Subscribe to iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Google Play, all of that. Because like I said, the show's probably going to go there more exclusively pretty soon. I'm out. Subscribe. Peace.